I love Jeeping. I hate Jeep people.
Yeah.
Because the current iteration of Jeep people are the duckers, the
mother duckers.
Oh, the people with the Salt Life sticker on that go to the beach once a year.
Oh, that's where it started. That's like the
that's the
original
OG duck.
Like you're driving through Arkansas and you have a Salt Life sticker on the huh? Oh yeah, I go down to the Gulf Coast in July once a year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, guys. Well, welcome back to another episode of Dirt Drive Podcast. We've been getting a question for a while. The last person to ask it was Cletus XJ on Instagram. He wants us to talk about what you would actually like describe a build as.
Oh,
because people like you see on Facebook Marketplace all the time.
Bought not built,
and what's like, look at my build, and it's like a TJ on 33s with a short arm lift and. That's not a build. I would call it modded.
I think
your angry eyes are not built.
Oh, 100%.
Your angry eyes are a mod that should be taken off.
Quick tangent. In the 7-slot Facebook group, there was a whole conversation about how Bronco people have stolen ducking.
Oh yeah, they're putting the Broncos on the
yeah.
And I was like, oh, how long until Bronco people start doing angry eye grills? And apparently,
they're out.
That's a thing already.
Yep.
Yay!
They're out.
Anyway,
guess who
I'll
makes
be
them?
doing those.
Guess who makes them?
Rough Country.
Fab Force.
Yeah, it's a grumper. It's a full grumper. None of that constitutes a build.
No.
To tie it back into the original question.
No.
I think a build personally is a state of mind.
Yeah. It's a state of mind, but it also translates into like your vehicle not looking like everything else in the parking lot.
Well,
but it does because everyone does it.
I think what it comes down to, like if I had to draw a hard line, if you were like this is going to be written into law, hard line, build versus modification, like anything that's not easily reversible.
So if you got to weld something,
cut something that like immediately changes it from a factory configuration. So like long arms, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're moving a suspension mounting point, you are entering build territory or have entered build territory. Does that mean there are builds that don't have long arms? Yes, but that's just
because I believe there's heavily modified, and then there's built. Heavily modified is all the bolt-on parts you can find is heavily modified.
I think heavily modified would also fall under a build because at that point, right, like a build doesn't necessarily have to be performance stuff either, right? Like if you're doing bolt-on cosmetics, but you're throwing away factory parts, you're kind of entering into that build territory.
Okay.
Right? Like if you are altering something, not just putting, getting your Jeep name in a vinyl and putting it on the hood and peeling off Rubicon and putting RebelCon.
Yeah.
Right. Like
hey,
Trevor. Like that.
Hey.
I know.
I built mine.
No, I'm just using it as an example.
Yeah. You built it. I wouldn't call it a build though.
No,
it was
no.
It was modified.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
semantics, but
no, but I agree with you because it's that. I think we've gone over that a ton. Where the sweet spot for JKs was 2.5 and 35.
Yeah, it's a stock Jeep.
It looks good. It performs well. You don't have to do a ton to it.
Right.
So yeah, I would agree. It wasn't built, but it also wasn't just cosmetic shit. Right.
But you could also go on Facebook, spend $300 in takeoff parts, and that thing would be a bone stock Jeep.
Yeah.
In a weekend.
Yep.
Right. You stock suspension, stock wheels and tires, and you're back to normal.
Well, I think we're all on the same page with that's how trail Jeeps should start. You should obviously start stock, but then your next step is 2 inches and 35s because that's what most people do.
That's why I say it's a state of mind. It's not necessarily where your Jeep is at. You can be in process of building something, right?
Yeah.
Like you can take your JK, put a 2.5 and 35s on it, and maybe you have a plan 5 years down the road to put tons and long arms under it.
Yeah.
Like that's you can have it can be a slow build. You could be working towards that, compiling parts, like, I think build is more of a verb than it is an adjective. Does that make sense?
It's too early. I haven't had enough coffee first.
Well, I always felt like if you're gonna say it's built, you have to have used it.
yes.
Because
Sure.
like there's plenty of mall crawlers out there, which I have no issue with them,
I think there's also
they pay,
those
they
are-
pay your bills.
but those are typically the people who like to argue about built first bought, and they're
Sure.
also the same people who don't use their Jeep functionally
so
for what they did to it.
I mean, obviously, we're an off-road podcast, and we all off-road and Jeep and whatnot. So, like, that's what we gravitate towards. But I don't think use case determines a build or not, right? Because if you look at it outside of off-roading, like, there are plenty of people who are building a race car, per se, that don't have any access
Sure.
to a racetrack.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, there's plenty of people that own race cars that have never even thought about a racetrack.
Right, but
Like
that
all
doesn't mean
these
that car
Lamborghinis,
isn't. Yeah, it
all
doesn't
other
mean that
shit.
car isn't built, right? If you go from a stock Corvette at
That's fair.
500
Yeah,
horsepower,
I've never-
and you pay somebody, right? You spend a ton of money to make it a twin turbo 1200 horsepower Corvette.
That'll never see the track.
That'll never see the track. It's still a built car.
Fair, I've never. That was gross. I apologize. I've never.
It's all right. We're new. This is our first day, everybody.
I've never associated the status of modifications to another not subdivision class of
Sure.
automotive, another automotive
Yeah.
class,
Yeah.
like the Subi guys. Like those are
Right. I think I think where it gets gray are you get the people who are trying. Like, I know we talked about this on an episode talking about modifications. It doesn't matter what you do with your Jeep; just enjoy what you're doing with it. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Like just because you don't have plans to do a full build and do tons and long arms,
And that's fine.
Whatever, that's perfectly fine. Do your 2.5 35s,
Mm-hmm.
drive the kids to soccer practice, put the top down on nice days. Love your Jeep the way it is.
Yeah.
Love your Toyota the way it is.
But if you're
You
gonna do that, wave, goddammit.
no,
Oh, I intentionally didn't wave at someone coming. Coming from like a quarter mile.
you could tell the people who got into off roading with Jeeps and the ones who didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
You gotta wave.
A quarter mile away, this guy was coming, had his hand up already, and had an angry eye. I'm like, absolutely fucking not. Nope.
That's
not
aggressive.
Who was I just talking to about waving at Jeeps? And I was like,
It's better than ducking,
it's definitely better than ducking, but like, I think
because at least that's a true
having
tradition
never
of
daily
Jeep
driven
ownership.
a Wrangler, I just don't have road miles in Wranglers other than test driving customer cars. And 9 times out of 10, if I'm test driving your car, it's for death wobble, and I need both hands on the wheel. But like when I used to drive scrap heap before I started trailering it, I would obnoxiously wave at Wranglers
Just for the fun of it.
shits and giggles, right? Like say
There's guys that'll wave back.
Yo,
'cause
yeah.
They just look at it and go, "Ooh, built Jeep."
and but that's the thing is those are the guys that know, like they're like,
They're the cool ones.
yes.
They're the cool ones.
To me, the waving thing has gone from like a sign of like, oh hey, nice Jeep, respect,
Yeah.
to
Look at me, I have one too.
yeah, exactly,
Well,
yeah.
you know why?
And that's the most
It's be-
obnoxious
It's
thing.
because at the dealership, when you go to buy one, the sales guys are told to
Make sure your
tell
Jeep
you
wave.
about the wave.
Oh, you know that's what they call their extended warranty,
The
right?
Jeep Wave
Yeah.
Care Package
Yeah,
or whatever.
or
It's-
not, or
Like when I
maintenance
bought
package.
mine
Yeah.
from the dealership,
Yeah.
it was a Toyota dealership, and
Yeah,
even
it's-
that sales guy was like,
yeah.
"You know, you got." I was like, "Don't talk to me about Jeep stuff."
Yeah, it's
He's like, "Oh, so you already know about that?" Yes, motherfucker, it's a thing.
yeah, when I was researching it, said I want to buy a Jeep. The first thing that pops
But-
up on Google is make sure you
Yeah, but
wave.
you have to remember, I'd wanted a Wrangler ever since I was a little kid because my mom always wanted Wranglers. So I already knew about half
Right.
that stuff going into it. He's like, "Oh, my daughter found out about this when she bought her friend." I'm like, "Good for your daughter,
Yeah.
dude. I don't care."
my thing is like if you look at like the motorcycle thing, right? Like,
everyone in motorcycles waves to everyone.
exactly. It
The,
should
the
like,
grumbly boys wave to the zoomy
Right.
boys, like all the.
right.
Yeah, because you're all riding a motorcycle.
You're all gonna die
And
at some
that's-
point on two wheels.
yeah, for real. But that's what annoys me about the Jeep wave, right? Like the Gladiator came out, and there was all these Facebook discussions of like, do we wave at Gladiators? Like they're not real Wranglers, and it's like, Shut up.
You can take the doors and top off.
Look,
I wave at Broncos if it's a nice Bronco.
That's
Like,
what- yeah.
sweet rig, dude.
Yeah, like there's
I like your rig.
there's a couple FJs that are local that are like really well built,
Speaking of local FJs, sorry, continue your story.
and I'll wave at them when I'm driving my truck, like, or just give them a thumbs up. Like, the whole point of the wave is like acknowledging, like, hey, I get it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it has
Yeah.
nothing to do with how built your Jeep is. Don't mind our dog.
Say Carrie just dropped the baby.
No, probably not.
Future Tim Duck.
There'd be a lot more screaming involved. It's the sign of respect of, like, I get it, right? Like, I'm in that unofficial club of I can take top and doors off too. Like cool, man. Like,
Yeah.
nicely done. As opposed to this exclusive. Oh, I have a Wrangler. Like, no, like, that's not the point of it. Like, stop ruining all the good shit about Jeeps.
Good shit about everything.
It's not everything.
People just ruin the good shit.
Yeah.
It gets
That's just life.
that's life. So the cool thing, you said FJ. We've talked about it the last few episodes. We're doing the Escape Expo. Nick's coming with his FJ80.
Oh,
his right-hand drive
yes.
FJ80.
Yes.
He's just going to wheel on Saturday. He's got work on Sunday. I'm like, dude, he's going to come to Expo. He's going to leave with us at 2.
Yeah.
We're going to go to the National Forest. He said he would stay for dinner and then reevaluate whether he goes to work on Sunday. I'm like, cool, you're not going to work on Sunday because you're going to have so much fun.
Yeah, might as well
But we're going to have a right-hand
be
FJ80
sweet.
with us. I'm so excited.
Calvin, the guy that we just installed the Skinny Guy camper for, may join us as well.
Yeah, there's another guy on Facebook, too, who I'm not sure who it is, that said he's going.
Cool.
But it's shaping up.
Hell yeah.
I'm excited.
That'd be a good trip, yeah. But back to the whole built versus bought conversation. Like,
I like FJs.
yeah. Oh, especially I guess is Japanese spec? Is it?
Yeah, it's just imported.
Nice.
Yeah, he bought it from Duncan, and I think it's Blacksburg.
Yeah.
Duncan Automotive Imports.
I thought it was Richmond. I thought they were.
I don't know where it is.
Anyway,
I think a lot of people get hung up too on the, and this is a smaller subsection of people, but if you didn't do it with your own 2 hands, they don't consider it built. They get angry if
Sure.
you're the person
Yeah.
who takes it to a shop.
Yeah, those are the
to pay someone
yeah.
else to do it, and it's
Facebook
like
warriors.
It's like, guys, it's still on tons and long armed and on 40s. Like
to an extent, I understand that though.
I do, but at the same time, it's like, guess what? Whether they built it themselves or someone else did it,
Yeah.
they're still doing the same shit that
Correct.
you did.
Well-
So if yours is built, then theirs is built.
So my issue with that is if they don't know how to fix it themselves. So if you have a vehicle built like that, you need to be prepared to make repairs on the trail if you're going to take it on the trail because it's going to break and you need to know how to fix it to get it off.
I agree with.
Sure.
You should have an understanding of how it's built and how it works. That way you can.
There's a lot of that
do
bigger
that.
stuff you can't
I think-
necessarily fix on the trail. Like,
But
some of that
you're-
big stuff breaks. You're flat out screwed.
I think where
If you can cobble it back together to get
Sure,
off the trail.
yeah,
sure.
well, that's important regardless of what stage you're at.
exactly. I think the definition of built has nothing to do with who built it.
Yeah.
Right. Because at some point, you're exceeding a skill set, a capability, a tool requirement, something.
90%
Like-
of people who off-road don't know how to
Right.
do long arms and tons by themselves.
Well, most long arm kits require welding.
Yeah.
Right. And like, if you want it done right, regardless of being able to fix it on the trail or how good you are or what you know or don't know or how many tools you own,
yeah.
welding is not like welding on control arm brackets is not something you want to teach yourself to weld on.
No.
Right? Like there are plenty of people that we talk to people all the time that are like, well, I really want to teach myself how to weld, but
Yeah.
I think
I ain't doing it on this.
I'm either gonna not do long arms until I learn how to weld, or I'm gonna have you guys do this because that's important. And it's like I think that.
Well, welding school because, sorry, I'm interrupting you again. I'm doing a little Bart Kreischer.
Yeah.
Welding school because it's something you can teach yourself. You just need to buy the machine. Don't teach yourself on safety components.
Right.
Obviously, like suspension components.
If
or
you're a
anything.
parent, don't buy your 14-year-old son a welder. He will
Correct.
burn the house down.
Yes, I learned that.
Or do if you have a garage that has concrete walls and
No.
nothing flammable.
Well, no, this
Because I got one.
This is what it comes on a tangent of learning how to weld. You are right. I have always said and will always believe if somebody wants to learn how to weld, all you have to do is learn how to adjust the welder.
Yep.
The actual physical capability of running a MIG welder is
just drawing little circles.
Yeah, essentially. And honestly, if you set your machine up right, you can just drag it in a straight line for most welds. So what it comes down to is being able to look at your weld and go, ooh, this needs more heat, this needs more wire. So I need to slow down here. I need to start doing circles, stitch this together, whatever it is. Like, that's the part that's difficult. Like, that you can learn from watching a YouTube video, buying a buddy a 6-pack and having them sit there if they know how to weld and teach you how to make those adjustments. Modern welders have a lot of automatic settings, which does make it easier. But I can tell you, like, we have a relatively new state-of-the-art Miller-Matic, and I don't like the automatic setting. It's easier for me to set it and adjust myself as I move versus
Have to adjust
let the machine adjust for me. And I think that's partly because I'm not the greatest welder. I think the machine doesn't adjust the way what I weld. Like, where if I was a really good welder, like, I think the machine would probably do better. But I end up with better welds, nicer, flatter welds. Not on the automatic.
My excuse is I grew up with a flux core, and I could never weld with a flux core.
Yeah, but you also had no idea what you were doing.
Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing, but I attribute that, and it's probably wrong, but I attribute my lack of learning to weld is the flux core. And I know that's a shitty excuse because you can run really nice beads with a flux core.
It makes it harder. The flux core does make it harder because there's a lot more spatter and it's a dirtier weld. But like everything, it's 90% prep, right? You got to start with clean metal. You got to have a good gap. You got to have the right settings. Like, if you get all of that right, the learning to drag the puddle across the metal is the easy part.
Yeah.
It's just knowing what prep to do, what wire to use, what flux to use if you're using flux core. Do you have the right thickness of wire for the thickness of metal you're welding? Did you give yourself a bevel? Like, you don't, like, a common misconception with welding is you want a really tight gap.
Yeah, I know you want some space in there.
Right. So, like, if you're just welding mild steel and it's thick, right? Like I just did a track bar bracket the other day. That track bar bracket was 1/4 inch. You almost want a 1/4 inch because you need your filler metal to go somewhere. If you're trying to do a butt weld or like a T-joint, right, where you're welding into the middle of two pieces, not the edge, like that, you get that slope essentially in the corner because your filler metal is filling that corner.
It's so melting the other two metals together with the filler metal.
Right. So if you're doing a butt weld where you're doing edge to edge and that's a tight edge, you've got to melt out the area before the filler metal can go down into it. So you want to leave like a small 1/8 inch gap, because then as you melt that edge, your filler material goes down into the gap and it closes the gap, but it also fuses your two pieces together at the same time. Science. Back to the original conversation.
Yes.
I do think if anything gets welded onto your rig, you're automatically in the built category.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
But I think we were saying how, like, there are people who claim to be built if they're not built, and again,
it's a mindset.
It's a mindset. Like, if you're selling your rig mid build,
if you're selling a rig mid build, I expect it to be missing pieces,
or
like how you bought the YJ. The YJ you bought mid build,
right? And that's the frame rails cut off, things moved, like that. That was a true build that we're finishing.
It still is.
Yeah.
Stuck to the bottom of my
cup.
cup.
You're a mess this morning.
Yeah.
Shout out your head coffee for the nice tumbler.
Yeah. I think a common one we see in the built category are the TJs.
Yeah. Yep.
I think the JKJL builds are a lot more gray because
there's so much aftermarket.
And like
it's all bolt-on.
But again, bolt-on doesn't necessarily.
No. I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's just there's a lot less that has to be welded.
Correct.
On the JKJL platform.
Correct.
Because there's so much aftermarket support.
And they're so capable to start with.
Yeah.
Like,
The TJs, you really got to build to run 35s.
Doing a 4-inch and 33s and nothing else on your TJ is not a build. I do agree with that.
This is the same thing we talked about at SEMA. Is the hard line for me is there's so little uniqueness in the off-road market that it's kind of hard to separate the modified from the built, and you really have to stand out with tons and 40s, but even tons and 40s in a custom cage is I'll find 4 more in an hour from here that look the same.
Sure, but I think that just goes to the popularity of the segment more so than what is built and what is not. Because if you're doing tons and 40s in a cage, I don't care if it's the same cage and same tons and 40s that Joe Schmo has. They're both built Jeeps.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, like, if it can't go back to factory easily, like your Jeep. Like
it's a stock.
Right.
Oh, my XJ or my JK?
Okay, your Jeeps, they're actually, I think, good examples. Your JK can go back to stock. It's mostly stock.
It is mostly stock.
Right.
I actually, yesterday at work, with the new vinyls on it, someone asked me when I got a new Jeep. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, that doesn't look like the same one you drove last week. I'm like, I put some stickers on it. Yeah. He was like, oh,
there you
shit.
go. That's built.
He's like, that changes it a lot, actually.
Now, where it does start to get gray, in my opinion, is I think you are building that Jeep.
Yes.
Right? Because, yes, you have stock wheels, stock bumpers, but you have an end goal that does dramatically change it from what it is.
Yeah, when I drill into my hardtop for the roof rack, that's when the build starts.
Yeah.
When I got to drill my I don't know how much they cost, $2,000 hardtop.
At least.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's why, for me, it's a state of mind, right? Like, and anybody can believe they're built. I don't know if our podcast is gonna be a PSA, like.
Well, I think a lot of it too is if it's built for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, because it's not just your suspension components. Like Ron Barber's is a good example of that, right? Like he's
got the WJ,
WJ
truck driver from.
So, but so like even his interior, right? Like he's got that built out purposefully
for him,
for what he wants to do specifically, right? So it's the culmination of everything you've done to the vehicle.
It's that
is makes it what's built, right? Like with the JK, if you just throw 2.5 and 35s on there, that's in my opinion not really
stock.
Built. It's modified. You've done a little bit to it, but if you're also going through and you're adding in the CB radios, GMRS, all that, where you're like, I am using this for this specific purpose. That's why I did this, this, and this. Now you're in build territory.
That's why I say it's a mindset. Do you have an end goal, and is it well thought out plan, and are the modifications you're doing, whether they're bolt on, weld on, hacked up, whatever, do they make a cohesive project that
flows and looks good,
and serves a purpose,
and serves a purpose for you? It's got to be uniquely yours too, I believe.
And I think like that comes down to things like vinyls and the naming your Jeep and color combinations and doing stuff like that.
Are you a fan of the vinyl naming on your Jeep on the side, like on the hood?
I plead the fifth.
Good, me too.
Well,
Trevor is, but.
No, so this for me
that actually made me more happy. The more pissed off people would get about that name,
because they're like Rubicon, Rebellicon. What the fuck?
Well,
and it says Sahara next to it.
Well, that's a Sahara. You can't call it a Rebellicon. And I just look at him and go, I can call whatever the fuck I want. I own it.
For real.
Yeah.
Like, what do you care? It's not hurting you. Who gives a shit? But I think that's where the quote unquote off-road guys and the quote unquote overland guys used to get into it too, because obviously overland build-outs from a suspension standpoint typically aren't as aggressive,
right?
So and that's the build-out I'm doing with the JKs. Keep it relatively stock, so that way you can get replacement parts at AutoZone if you have to.
But it's also when you're talking about having just a cohesive unit, and that's what makes it your build. The overland guys fucking take the cake, because they literally every piece is thought about. I have to stock this much stuff. The rooftop tent, the rack, all of it comes down to how they're building their vehicles. So in essence, overland vehicles are more built vehicles than off-road vehicles in that mindset.
From jumping into it, Here's your word again, Tom. There's more strategery.
Oh my god, strategy.
I was editing the episode this morning. I'm like, I can use that word again
The
today.
episode we did with my dad. He's like, so strategery, and I'm like, he's like, that's not a word. I was like, I mean, it is. It's just you're just saying it wrong.
Yeah.
It's
So
strategy.
there's more strategery in planning.
Can you just say it like a normal human?
There's more strategy in
Thank
planning
you.
when it comes to like an overland build and like
Yeah.
that overland thing. Is I'm
Absolutely.
planning a trip to Cape Lookout, and it's fucking a pain in the ass to plan, but it's going to be so when you actually get to the follow through, it's going to be so much
Yeah.
fun, opposed to the other side of our lifestyle, which is just
Bash
throwing
rocks and get drunk.
Yeah.
throw your shit on a trailer, bash rocks, get drunk, and
Yeah,
camp
it's-
at the same
it's
spot.
it's-
which is it's
Equally as fun.
equally
It's
equally
just
as
the same.
fun.
Yeah, it's the forced preparedness versus the unintelligent recklessness. Like that's
Go ahead and mark that for a reel.
Unintelligent recklessness. Got it.
right? Like that's how it is. Like that's to me in my mind that is overlanding versus off-roading.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's what it because for overlanding there's a
I think
not
I
to
think
say that
I think
there's-
it's all off roading. I think it's overlanding and
Sure.
rock crawling.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Cuz when you go rock crawling, there is some thought process, but once you're in the thick of it, you're just like, cool, I got to make it.
It's,
so
it's going to be what
here
it's going to be.
Yeah, here we go.
That's the line I want. Oh, shit, not there anymore.
But to your point, when you're planning these longer trips, it's weeks and weeks and weeks of preparedness of like, okay, if I take this route and go this way, then it's going to take this many hours, and I have this much gas, and I have this much food, and yada yada yada. And then, yeah, you get to the enjoyment part when you're actually on the 3-day journey. But what a lot of people don't realize is it's 4 weeks of preparedness to do 3 days. Whereas when we go rock crawling, it's
You throw a
you
big,
want to go next weekend? All right, cool. And then you
Yeah.
get out there and you're like, yeah.
you throw just the biggest randomest parts you could find on there to make it as strong as possible. You pack you don't even pack a lunch. You go to Sheetz on your way out and you
Yep.
get a sandwich.
A sandwich? How about like 4 bags of beef jerky, a case of energy drinks, some chips?
You get the monster coffees for the morning because you don't
Yeah.
want to brew anything because you're hungover from the night before.
Yeah, I think just that's the common theme here, right? Like, if it's thought out, if it's prepared, it's a build. If it's
purposeful.
if it's like, ooh, that's a pretty color, and you want pink grab handles because you want pink grab handles.
Yeah, I ripped Will's grill
Yeah.
cover off. I'm like, this is horrible.
Well, see, but even like the Renegade, I would consider built to an extent, right? Like,
because nothing else looks like it.
Right,
It's very unique.
it's also one of like 5 Renegades that's actually been off road in the entire world.
Yeah.
But it's also, it was thought out, right? Like there would be more to it if there was more available for it.
Sure.
And I think that's why this argument gets so deep in the off-road world is because there's so much bolt-on available. It's like, are you still building it if it's bolt-on?
Yes.
And I think I do want to say yes. I think there are just different levels of build.
Yeah, I think
Well, yeah, because even the rock crawler stuff that's bolt on can get pretty extreme in its quality, right? Like,
Well,
you,
shit.
you can take a 4.5
There's-
inch rock crawler that's not a long arm, that's a
There
mid
are
arm
5
kid.
different companies at least that make bolt-in
Also-
1-ton axles.
Yeah. So at that point, it's like, oh, 1 tons
Yeah.
aren't built anymore because you could just bolt them right
Yeah,
in.
yeah, it
It's like,
doesn't-
but that's not
yeah.
how that works.
Well,
Like,
I think a good example of that is Martin Rieger's Jeep Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that is a built Jeep.
that is
yeah.
uniquely built for him.
But everything about it is bolt-on.
Yeah.
Right? Like, those are all JL-specific
Yeah.
parts that's a
yeah,
kit.
you can't
that
you
you
can't
can
knock the
purchase.
consumer for the fact that the manufacturers have gone, we're going to make this
As
more
easy as-
accessible
Right,
to people.
right.
It's going to cost you a shit
Yay,
ton of like,
capitalism.
Yeah, but it's like that set of 1 tons is still going to cost you 15 grand
Each.
Yeah, but it's like just because it costs you more money because you're not doing it yourself doesn't make it not built.
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
manufacturer said, we want to make this easy so more people feel inclined to buy our product.
Yep.
Not make it harder so that we go out of business because not everyone
Yeah.
can weld their
Yeah.
shit on.
Yeah. Just because everybody can do it doesn't make it not a build.
Yeah.
Uniquely-
it just makes
you-
it less unique.
uniquely yours and not cobbled together. When shit's cobbled together and looks like trash, which isn't. I mean,
Well, but I think
that's like not like an objective statement. You can tell when something looks bad.
Yeah, but you could hate it and it could still be a build.
Correct. Yeah.
Right?
Like
all
Stan
of-
Civics, I don't love Stan Civics. I think
They're definitely built.
They're definitely built.
All the brodozers at SEMA are fucking built. They are.
That's built
Yeah,
more
'cause
than
that's
more
not
than most anything in the off-road
Yeah,
community.
that ain't
because
stock.
Yeah, I still hate it.
When you guys-
I still
Oh, yeah.
don't have a front drive shaft.
when you got to do a drop box just to run the rear axle, it's all right. It's built.
I think to your point, I think
Or you need a ladder to get in it.
Yeah. I think the
I mean,
argument.
if you have to debate helical cut gears versus straight cut gears, you're building something.
Yeah.
But it's like I think the argument nowadays has sort of devolved because there's less uniqueness in the market. I think that's where a lot of the argument comes from is people go, "Oh, I've seen 3,500 Jeeps on 3.5 and 37, so that's not a build anymore." It's like, but it is.
So
to add to that, I think the people who are doing a rough country lift kit or a Mopar lift kit or buying their lifted Jeep from the dealership with 37s
That's
on
not
it
a build.
already, but they're the ones in the parking lot going, "Look at my built Jeep."
Nope, sorry, you bought that.
Well,
Because you
that's-
did.
but that's, you buy it like that, and that's all you do to your Jeep. You're not building a Jeep.
Yeah, that's not a build.
You just have a lifted Jeep. You have a modified
That's
Jeep,
an
and that's
appearance
okay.
package, in
Right.
my opinion.
yeah,
And I
you pull
Like that,
the loan
you may as well have just done decals.
you pull the loan for clout.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what it is.
and I just and what bugs me about it is, like, those are the same people that are making Jeeps an exclusive club. Like, oh, I have a Jeep.
Those are the people who
you
duck
have
everyone.
you have a Grand Cherokee. That's not a real Jeep.
The fuck it's not.
Yeah, like
That bitch has air suspension and is more comfortable than your Wrangler.
right. Well, but that's
Dude, they're so nice.
Those are the people that are
And
ruining,
those Trackhawks, don't
Right.
even get me started on those.
It's a race car.
Yeah, it is.
like that's what bugs me about where the community has gone.
Yeah.
Is like we differentiate Jeep people and off-roaders all the time, right? Like, Jeep people, 90% of them aren't built.
They give out-
Off-roaders,
they give out-
90% of off-roaders are
built.
built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeep people give out ducks in the parking lot. Off-roaders,
Well, he
Cut a duck in half and
he
throw it
says
in the
it at
parking lot.
He says it all the time. He's like, I love Jeeping. I hate Jeep people
yeah.
because the current iteration of Jeep people are the duckers, the
mother duckers.
the people with the Salt Life sticker on that go to the beach once a year.
Oh, that's where it started. That's like the
that's the
original
OG
duck.
duck.
Like you're driving through Arkansas and you have a Salt Life sticker on the. What? Huh? Oh yeah, I go down to the Gulf Coast in July once a year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's. I'm like, I get it. I get. I want everybody to love what they do. I don't like the exclusion that comes with labeling something built or not bought. Are you seeing the same thing PJ sent?
Yeah.
It's I don't know if he sent it to you, but I saw it actually before he sent it. If it's what I think
Well,
it
and
is.
that's why we've become.
Yeah, I saw that.
We're
already.
having trouble selling the shirts, but that's why we've become the anti-Jeep Jeep Club.
right.
Speaking of,
Oh,
if you'd like to support the podcast,
you're going to have to order that one directly from us.
yeah,
No.
that's unfortunately no names, but
No, give them names.
No,
because we're still trying to work it
no.
out.
That unfortunately the anti-Jeep Jeep Club T-shirt currently.
If any of our listeners happen to be experts or
Sublimation.
legal experts in trademark and copyright
and free
infringement,
use and parody law.
which I think all falls under the same category as law.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to, like, maybe a little pro bono advice on how
Yeah.
to make that work, just give us a call.
That'd be
Or
awesome.
anybody does on-demand sublimation printing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was supposed to text Nick.
But again,
Yeah.
if you
I digress.
we appreciate all the support we get from our listeners.
DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
If you would like to support us further, because we are trying to go to King of Hammers this year, and that costs a lot of money, go to DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
You will see our little merch.
DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
What is this?
DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
What was that old commercial that used to do that shit? They used to just say the same thing over and over and over because they realized.
My favorite old commercial is Ship Your Pants.
No, but
Hey,
Was
that's
that
been
Wal-
me for the last 2 days.
Walgreens Ship Your Pants.
no, but what?
I know what commercial I
Because
can't
they
think
used
of it
to
either.
yell it. It
Yeah.
was like
It's like the
it
girl.
was like a
was it
migraine
like-
commercial or something.
Yeah,
They'd
it
be
was
like,
like- yeah.
Take this medicine and it'll get rid of your migraine. Take this medicine.
Yeah.
And it's just like Jesus Christ. But
head on. Apply
yes,
directly to the forehead.
Yes, head on. Apply directly to
Yeah.
the forehead.
It's like the new TikTok girl that says Mercedes,
yes.
and she flicks something.
Yep.
Mercedes.
But
DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
DirtNerdsOffroad.com, you'll see the merch section up there. It takes you right to our Shopify store. We've got a lot
Buy
of
our
great
shit.
t-shirts up there. Please buy our shit.
DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
We love doing this. We appreciate that you guys listen.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep doing it,
And we're going to keep doing it regardless.
Whether you listen or not, we're going to keep doing it.
But this will help
My
us
mom
get to the
listens.
point
all
of
that matters.
good.
when we have that financial support, we're going to be able to put out more content more frequently as opposed to just weekly episodes. So go to the website, dirtnerdsoffroad.com, buy some t-shirts, buy some hats. There's even, I think, some baby onesies on there, too, for all those new parents. So, anyway.
And as you listen and support us, we're also getting into YouTube. The first YouTube video should be up. It's nothing
If you-
off-roady.
if you want to watch Tim
if you wanna-
attempt to build something.
I hang a swing.
Build not bought.
And I tell, yeah, my shed's built not bought, dog.
What a segue.
That should be up. Also, if you want to do your build, we're doing in-show ad reads now. Also, if you want to do your build, check out Adam's Driveshaft.
Adam's Driveshaft, Boxo Tools.
Yeah, Adam's Driveshaft, use code DIRTDRIVE and get 15% off your drive shafts.
Boxo Tools is Dirt Drive, get 10% off.
Yeah, but-
because you need tools to build it.
Yes.
You do.
Or you need to come see us at the shop.
Or both.
No, if you're going to bring it to the shop, we
Don't
prefer,
touch it.
We prefer you don't start the build.
Correct. But you should, if you're going to own a vehicle, you should have tools. That's part of owning an off-road vehicle.
If you're going to actually
Use the vehicle.
use the vehicle, because here's the thing: if you have your stock plus Jeep, your 2.5 and 35s.
Hey, don't talk shit.
I'm not talking shit.
2.5 and 33s, dog.
Okay, so if you have a completely stock Jeep,
Which the Falcon mud terrains were the OE tire.
they were available as an OE tire. Yeah.
So yeah, my Jeep is completely stock.
yeah.
That's
know.
fine.
Anyway,
I love it.
So, but if you're going to take that Jeep and
Fuck it up.
twice a year go run Peters Mill or Flagpole or some fire roads and do a little car camping, yeah, a tire patch kit, an air compressor, some basic things are great. You don't need a 3,000 piece fucking mechanics tool set to maintain that Jeep. Like, if you do, like, I'm not saying everybody has to change their own oil. Do I believe
But an impact with an appropriate socket to put your spare tire on.
would be very helpful? Yeah.
I always
I feel
carry
like there's a
with me.
story behind that.
No, it was just one of those things. When I got my Wrangler, I was like, how am I ever going to get my spare tire off if I
Right.
don't have a fucking impact?
Yeah, it's one thing
yeah.
when you're a Honda Civic. Like every time I do the brakes or something on the Honda, I'm like, I pick the tire up and I'm like, oh yeah, this is what a normal
light.
tire is
Yeah.
like.
Well, it's
Like, they're
anytime we
so
take the stock
small.
tires off Wranglers for
They're
the
so
few
light.
But that's still a massive tire compared to
Sure.
90%
Still a
of
29
everything
inch
else on the
tire
road.
Compared to the Sonata, the Civic.
But
Yeah.
like we had the one Wrangler in the other day. It was completely stock, JK, and you
Yeah.
realize, holy shit, I stand taller, like
Yeah.
just standing
Yeah.
up because you're so used
Yeah.
to lifted Jeeps.
Stock Cherokees are hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Stock Cherokees
I know.
are comical.
It makes me
Yeah.
giggle every time we
It's
have one
fantastic.
in the shop. Because it's like I had to actually sit down into
Yeah.
it.
Mhm, you gotta like squat into it like it's a
Yeah.
sedan.
And you just forget.
That was like shout out Jason. Whenever we would get stock Jeeps in, he'd forget they were stock and whack his head on the door on the way in because he wouldn't get down low enough. He'd go up into a stock Jeep and just whack his head on the roll bar.
So being in business for 3 years now, officially ish, 4
Yeah.
years.
3 years.
What's been your favorite
3 years at the
customer
shop.
build?
Ooh,
There's been some good ones. I think my favorite one's currently in the shop.
the XJ.
I can't wait to see it finished.
That's so. I was PJ. I saw PJ taking a bunch of pictures and stuff of it the other day.
Yeah.
and I think we do need to do like a good 5-6 minute walk
That's
around
fine.
on that when it's done and just go through everything. That is definitely high on the list. It's a 99 XJ. Basically, at this point, a full restoration. Like it's got a brand new stroker. Shout out Evan, Classic Motor Machine.
yeah, I love Evan.
So 4.6 stage 2 cam, like it's probably gonna make about 250 horse, which is
Double.
almost
And the-
double a
and
factory
the
4 liter.
torque on it is wild.
Oh, they're so the stroker is low key probably one of the best modifications you can make to an XJ or a TJ or an LJ. But it's a factory AX15 5-speed Cherokee.
oh, nice.
So the interior's gutted, new floor pans. It's getting a full like ceramic insulation floor coating. Interior is getting redone. Full stereo, lights, roof rack, awning. We've
Long
had,
arms.
we did a Clayton long arm kit on the front. So it's going to sit like about 4 inches by the time we dial everything in. Bilstein reservoirs. It's going to get Falcons 33s. We've got a Barnes.
The Barnes rack.
The Barnes XJ rack, but we're going to modify it a little bit on drawer slides.
Ooh.
So it can actually like roll out.
Oh, is that what the drawer slides are sitting on the?
Yeah. So like, I haven't quite figured out exactly how we're gonna do that yet, because we still got to finish the floor before I test fit it. But yeah, it's like looking at it like it's a really good setup, and just the way the customer's gonna use it, I didn't want him to have to fold down the back seat to access all like the full aspect of storage out of it. So we're just gonna build that slider into it and.
But also tons of like internal molly panels, so he can just like
it's gonna
stack
have so much
stuff
storage.
up. Like,
It's like a really good. I don't want to say like starter overland build, but it's like a step above starter, where like
I'd say it's a good
It's
mid-range.
it seems like a
overland
really
build-out.
good quality throw all the parts at it build.
yeah,
All the quality parts, all the American-made good quality parts.
Yeah, but like his overlanding isn't like hardcore trail riding. So like
His is cross-country trips.
it's cross country
Yeah.
road trip, so he doesn't need the camping aspect.
Doing the Pan American,
Yeah, he's not doing
the
like
Tat, and
like off grid for a week where he needs like solar and all the other crazy stuff that you associate with overlanding. Like
Yeah.
we're not even putting a winch on it because he doesn't have any plans to get into roads or trails that he would need a winch. He just wants to be able to get his Jeep, drive across the country,
Go wherever he wants to.
and have the ability to go down the dirt road in Wyoming to a ranch or whatever. Like it's not about trails; it's just about travel, and that's why he wants all the storage.
yeah.
So, but yeah, that's definitely a cool build. I've always liked the Grand Cherokee we did, the blue,
Oh, that
the
one
blue
was nice.
WK2.
Oh yeah, with all the off-road animals stuff.
Yeah, I mean that was throwing a catalog at it, and that Jeep probably doesn't get used like it could.
No, but it's still badass.
But it looked
Off-road animal makes such good stuff.
and like that Jeep has the capability
Oh, yeah.
to do anything you want with it, and that like, it just looked really good.
yeah.
It's the unique builds. Like
Yeah.
I enjoy when the middle arm Toyota Tacomas and 4Runners come in.
Yeah.
Like I know you didn't do any work on it. You just charged the shocks. But that
that
4Runner
was
that
ni-
came
that
in,
was a
that
nice
was so
truck.
nice.
That was a nice truck. Yeah. I mean Martin's is a really good build.
It
Yep.
is.
And he beats the piss out of that thing.
Set
like-
every Jeep Badge of Honor trail in the country.
I think
-2.
I was
Which
gonna say,
he-
probably
which he-
as of recording this, it's 2 or 3.
Yeah, he's
'Cause I-
got 2 left that he plans
It
to.
was September, October that he was going on that trip, wasn't
Yeah, I think it's October now,
yeah.
but
Yeah, we're supposed to have him on at or around Overland Expo. He said
Okay.
he was going to be down at the show and wanted to
yeah.
do an episode.
I'm trying to think. We just went through this the other day with ticket numbers. We've had like 2,500 rigs through the shop at this point, so it's hard to
Pick and choose.
like remember. Well, just hard to remember them all. I
Yeah.
mean, those are the recent ones. The 392 we just did was a really nice cohesive build.
Yep.
Do you have a favorite one, Trevor?
I'm trying to think because there's, like you said, there's been so many of
Yeah.
them that like.
I know maybe a little biased, but I've always liked like Darwin's setup. Like Darwin's Jeep was capable enough, but also aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ricky's is going to be a fun one.
Ricky
doing
yeah.
the stretch.
Oh, we gotta write that in.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
Yeah, we got a request to stretch a
if it-
TJ
Oh, nice.
I mean,
5-inch.
oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I've as biased as it sounds, I've always really enjoyed the stuff we've done to our own vehicles.
Oh, yeah.
duh.
Like
Yeah,
that's-
those are the
but
most-
not-
those are the
not
most
like in
fun.
a not like in a oh our Jeeps are the best. It's just like because
It's the reward of working on your
It's-
own thing and then having it look dope afterwards.
well that, but it's also like when we all first started as a group, there was a lot of similarities in the vehicles we had, right? So it was just always kind of like they all functioned relatively the same, right? And then you kind of started off with the XJ where you got something completely different and went down that path.
and then we
and
adopted Tom at some point, and then
he
he's had everything.
well,
Yeah,
and then
pretty
but
much.
he had the Chief, which he kind of ran as it said
into the ground.
Yeah, well,
thing was ran into the ground when I bought it.
Yeah, but then Scrappy came along, and
Yep.
Scrappy, you know, as much as it was just a Grand Cherokee on 33s open,
Yeah.
It shouldn't have lived long as it long as it
Scrappy.
did.
It wasn't supposed to.
Scrappy was like the poster child of dirt nerds because it was just like
I would argue
everyone looked at it and went, "Oh, that thing's so built," but it's like, nah, it's just on 33s and some takeoff parts.
33 is not matching wheels.
Yeah.
it's a catch-22 for me because like I love the YJ. Like that was not a project I wanted.
Yeah.
But I took it on and I've learned to absolutely love that Jeep.
Yeah.
Now, had Scrap Heap not been as, dare I say, capable and reliable as it was, I don't think I ever would have given up on the CJ project.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is disappointing because
The CJK.
the CJK was going to be a cool fucking concept,
Yep.
and it's still on my list to do.
I think you should still do it at some point because I think that's
Yeah.
just fun.
I
Yeah,
agree.
you need a new
like-
frame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that, but and that's what it came down to too. Was like it was a bigger project than I think I had convinced myself it would be.
And they always are.
Yeah, I just
Yeah, but that one was stuffing the motor,
you and the alarms, man. That's
I
like
know,
the third
man.
episode in a row.
That had an
stuffing
alarm
the
go
motor
off.
from the Cherokee Chief
Yeah.
into the CJ frame, gonna slap JK axles underneath.
Yeah.
Like that was gonna be a
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah, it was.
Build.
It was a matter of like I had a bunch of parts laying around and we were gonna do this, and then as it started to come together, it was like, this isn't gonna work.
It's going to be really unaffordable.
Well, it wasn't even the affordability side of it. It was like
It was just
we put the engine and transmission in the frame.
There was no room left.
and the tail shaft without the transfer case was like 18 inches from the rear axle.
So like a YJ.
No, without the transfer case.
Oh, without the transfer
Yeah.
case.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm going to have like a 4-inch drive shaft unless I stretch the wheelbase, which defeated the whole purpose of the project, was that it looked like a stock CJ with coil springs and a 4-link.
parts, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, I know there are people who do like JK frames and then like do like, I don't want to say knockoff, but like basically build a CJ6.
Yeah, put a body on top of a
Put a
JK
body
frame.
on a JK
That's what
frame.
all these cool builds that you see are all just
Yeah.
JK frames with
we're
bodies
so-
on top.
Yeah.
We're slowly turning into the motor swap group because now PJ's talking about wanting to motor swap the LJ.
Okay.
Yours
He
has
talks about
ADD
everything.
is absolutely contagious. I don't care what anybody says.
We have to put the tons under 2 Jeeps before we even talk about
Yeah.
motor swaps.
3 technically, because I still want tons under the YJ.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just have to find another set.
Yeah. For
We
$700.
Hopefully less.
I'll start looking. I always find the good deals.
But yours is motor swapped. Mine's motor swapped. We're not going to touch his yet because that's got to be a stock
yeah.
King of Hammers car.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, we gotta find
So we
money for
can't.
that.
Can we build that out to a stroker and have
Yeah.
it still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That would be smart.
that's what we like loosely. The game plan is like if we throw tons on a cage in it, it's ready to go,
Yeah.
and then
And run it into the ground and replace parts as we have
when
to.
the 300,000 mile 4-liter decides to give it up 100 miles from the pit on the high speed run,
we need to get back with a helicopter.
yeah, yeah. That no, I don't want to pay that tow bill.
Oil
No. We're gonna-
pressure? Never heard of her.
Yeah. Yeah, but the nice thing is it's a 4-liter, so it'll run without the oil pressure.
And it does. It does.
Scrappy
currently.
used to do the same thing.
Yeah.
You just watch that. You just watch it peg to 0, and you'd be like, "Oh shit!
Oh, I just have the-
we're still moving."
I just have the dummy light. I'm like, oh shit, I don't have oil pressure right now. I don't know how much or how
I don't-
little I have. But
I don't hear it knocking.
Nope, not yet.
If it ain't tapping, it's got oil. That's why you put the thick stuff in. The thick stuff keeps it, that way it sticks to everything and it keeps it lubricated when it's
yeah,
not
like the
pumping.
display you see at AutoZone.
Yeah,
You turn
yeah,
on the wheel. It's going all the way up to gears.
Well, we got way off topic. I just remembered this episode's about building versus buying.
Body.
all of our Jeeps are built. That's a
Nah.
Being built.
Your Jeep doesn't have tires on it right now.
yes, it does.
Oh, did you put
Yeah, we
Yeah.
Sean's tires on
Dude,
it?
Sean doesn't know it yet, so Sean, if you're listening to this episode,
Dude,
that
do
was
you-
a straight trade for 37s, by the way.
Do you should
I've not
see
seen-
how
I've-
badass it looks with those fucking tires.
It's
on
actually where they belong, not
Yeah.
on a road going
there.
JK.
Yeah, because that thing's never gonna see the road. But
Yeah.
you
No.
know what it's gonna do?
Well, yeah,
Those
because
things
it's
are-
never going to leave the parking lot.
Never gonna,
Hey.
It'll leave on my trailer at some point.
Yeah, to the new shop.
Yeah.
it
No,
runs
I-
and drives.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Summing it up, built is a mindset.
Yeah.
it's there is
To an extent.
no.
But built is something you can see was thought through,
Yeah.
not cobbled together and done with pride.
Right. Well, no,
Our
because you
Jeeps
could
are
have
kinda
a
cobbled
yeah,
together.
you could have a cobbled together build.
But so our cobbled together builds are thought through.
Yeah, but that doesn't detract from
Eventually.
the fact that it's cobbled together.
Yeah.
Correct.
I've got a Chevy motor with
That's not cobbled together. I wouldn't say that's cobbled
I think
together.
it's a Jeep body with a Chevy
Yeah.
drivetrain and
all right,
Ford
so
axles.
a good example of
That's Frankenstein.
of a thought through build. We have a 392 coming in that already has a bunch of aftermarket stuff bolted onto it, and he's finally doing like a real lift kit. But we've upgraded the rear springs to the 3.5 lift spring because he knows he wants to carry more weight in the back.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
That's the mindset. That's the
Yep.
built mindset. That is, I'm going to do X, I need Y.
Yeah.
If you just do a lift, wheels, and tires, you're not building it, you're modifying it. If you do a lift, wheels, and tires because you need 37s or you want 37s to go run the Rubicon, so you're going to end up with, a
Substock.
roof rack and 100 pounds of gear and air compressors and tools and all the shit you need to go do hardcore trails.
That's build.
That you're building that Jeep. It's a lift, wheels, and tires is the start of a build. If that's where you stop, you haven't
You've modified.
You haven't done
you
anything.
haven't done anything.
It's
You've
stock.
just modified it.
It's stock.
It's stock plus.
Yeah.
Stock. Okay, stock plus.
Yeah.
But cool, guys.
I hope that answers the question, Cleater.
Yeah. Claytor. Claytus XJ. So.
Hell
yeah,
yeah,
if
brother.
you guys. Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother.
Did you watch any of the Bristol 1000?
I just watched Tony Angelo's Stay Tuned video of the Bristol 1000, and
We have to go at some point.
we definitely have to go because it's not that long of a drive for us. One. Two, I was trying to figure out how we do like a Dirt Nerds version of that. Just a bunch of XJs ripping through the woods.
The Dirt Nerds 1000.
I don't know. We'll talk about that
We'll
one off
figure it
air.
out. Thank you for listening. If you guys have any other questions, we love answering questions. We'll make a whole episode out of it.
DirtNerdsOffroad.com. DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
Apply directly to the forehead.
If you haven't gotten the subliminal messaging yet, go to
DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
DirtNerdsOffroad.com and
Yes.
go to the merch part and buy T-shirts
Buy
so we
t-shirts,
can do
check
fun
us out.
shit.
So we can make this a video and we can flash graphics and say DirtNerdsOffroad.
Well, we're close.
Yeah.
We're close to making the video.
Oh yeah, once we rebuild the studio, thanks to hot, humid Mid-Atlantic summers.
Yeah, all of our sound deadening fell off the wall. So we were going to record this, but it looks
Yay.
like shit again, so we didn't.
Yay!
Yay! Check us out.
DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
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 Support our sponsors. Support the people that support
If
us.
you're sick of hearing us,
DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
Go to DirtNerdsOffroad.com and buy our shit so we don't have to keep sponsoring ourselves.
Check us out.
DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
Check us out on YouTube.
DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
Like, subscribe, follow. Same thing on Spotify, Apple Music. Hit the subscribe button. You get notifications when we post new episodes.
And check out the partners list in the comments section
Yep.
or in the description of the episode.
Yes.
Dirt Drive is the discount code
For everything
For
across the
everything.
board.
Everything in the world.
The discount varies. Jeepcables.
does.
Shout out Jeepcables. Free shipping. It's a big one when
Yes.
your battery cables weigh like 18 pounds.
yeah.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Yeah. And Boxo Tools so you can build your project.
Put your battery cables on.
You can put your battery cables on.
But
Yeah.
thanks for listening. We will see you guys next week.
DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
Are you enjoying this podcast? Do you want more ridiculousness from the Dirt Nerds? Check out DirtNerdsOffroad.com. It'll link to all of our social media as well as our YouTube page, and you can pick up some sweet merch to help support the podcast and other adventures.